You know, some stories don't just end. They completely shatter. And tonight, we're looking at 3 moments where that's happening right now, in TV, in movies, and in music. And it all kicks off with a pretty stunning confession.
I weren't very nice to people, but people loved me. Just let that sink in. That's an actor trying to make sense of a character he played for, over a decade? A character millions of us, we really love this guy, right? For better or for worse. And now, he's gone.
So who are we talking about? Well, that was Paul Anderson. You know him as the one and only Arthur Shelby from Peaky Blinders. For years, he was the absolute chaotic heart of that family. And in the brand new movie? Yeah, that heart has stopped beating. And let me be crystal clear here. This is not a rumor. It's not some clickbaity tease. In the new Peaky Blinders film, The Immortal Man, Arthur Shelby is dead. Period. One of the biggest, most iconic TV gangsters of our time, just wiped from the board. Just think about the journey this show has been on. It kicked off way back in 2013 and became this massive global thing. The series wrapped in 2022, and ever since, we've all been holding our breath for this final movie. So the stakes, they are through the roof, which makes this move, killing off a main character right away, absolutely shocking.
And this slide right here really lays out the gut punch. We were all hoping, right? That Arthur, the messed up but always loyal big brother, would somehow pull through. But the reality in the movie is so much colder. See, he doesn't just die. It's more than that. He's basically erased from the present, becoming this ghost that haunts his brother Tommy. He's just a memory, a warning.
So you gotta ask, why? What could possibly be big enough to justify this? Well, the plot is, it's a total powder keg. We're in 1940. Tommy Shelby's trying to live a quiet life, but he gets dragged right back in. Why? Because his own son, Erasmus, has taken over the family business. And the kicker? The new Peaky Blinders are working with Nazi sympathizers. It's the ultimate betrayal.
Okay, so from the death of one icon, let's pivot to the crazy rebirth of another. We're gonna shift gears here, away from gangsters in Birmingham to a gothic horror story that's over 200 years old, but is suddenly screaming back to life.
Okay, get a load of this number. It's actually kind of wild when you see it laid out. Mary Shelley, a woman, wrote Frankenstein all the way back in 1818. But for more than 100 years of movies, who's been telling her story? Almost exclusively men. We're talking 99+% of the time. Well, until now.
And that is why this new film from Maggie Gyllenhaal, The Bride, is making such huge waves. She's bringing what people call a feminine gaze to the story. And look, that's not just about having a woman direct. It's about completely flipping the camera's perspective to focus on the female experience, which honestly was at the very core of the original book.
Because let's just remember for a second what Mary Shelley's book was really about. It wasn't just, a monster movie. It was this incredibly deep, emotional story about everything. Creation, love, fear, and this crushing loneliness. It was a woman's take on birth and what it feels like to be an outcast. And then there's this, a review comparing Gyllenhaal's movie to Cats. Wow. The word on the street is that this film is bizarre, it's confusing, it is definitely not your grandfather's Frankenstein. It's swinging for the fences. So here's the bottom line. The whole legend gets turned completely on its head. Remember the 1935 movie? The bride shows up, she screams, she dies. That's it. She's a footnote. In this version, she is the story. She finally gets a voice, she's chaotic, she's rebellious, and she's right at the center of everything.
All right, let's bring it to our final story for tonight. We've seen an old icon die and another one reborn. Now we're talking about a real-life, modern-day icon from the massive global machine that is K-pop, and he's choosing to step away. And that brings up a huge question, right? What happens when a global machine like that loses a key part? Because K-pop groups aren't just bands. They are meticulously built billion-dollar brands. So when a member of a group as huge as ENHYPEN decides to go solo, you better believe people feel those shockwaves all over the world.
And that brings us to Heesing. Look at his journey. He literally came out of one of those intense TV survival shows, Island, back in 2020. He spends the next 6 years as a core part of ENHYPEN's insane rise to fame. And then, bam, March 10th of this year, the news drops. He's leaving the group. So let's break down what's actually happening here.
according to the official statement. First off, this isn't some messy, dramatic breakup. The key phrase they used was that they wanted to respect his distinct musical vision. The group's going to continue as Six, and he's not vanishing. He's actually staying with the same company to launch a solo career. This is a very carefully managed reinvention. But then you have the human side of it all. Away from all the corporate speak, Hee-sung himself wrote this really personal letter to the fans, the Engine. He talks about how overwhelming and precious these last 6 years have been, and he promises he's going to carry their love with him. So yeah, it's not just a business move, it's a huge, personal next chapter for him.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got a gangster dying, a monster being reborn, and a pop star going solo. 3 completely different stories, right? From totally different parts of our culture. But what if they're not separate? What if they're all pieces of the same, much bigger picture? This, right here, is the aha moment. Let's connect the dots. In Peaky Blinders, an icon is killed off on purpose to push the story forward. With Frankenstein, a character who is basically a prop is brought back to life and completely reimagined. And with Hee-sung, a modern icon steps away from the group to build his own identity. See the pattern? Deconstruction, reinterpretation, reinvention. These are the big words right now. What we're seeing, happening all around us, is our culture taking apart its old heroes, breathing new life into forgotten ones, and letting our modern stars completely reinvent themselves right in front of our eyes.
And this is why all of this actually matters to you and me. This isn't just entertainment news. It's a mirror. The stories we tell ourselves, the way we tell them, it all reflects who we are as a society. We're living in a time where we're not satisfied with the old, simple stories anymore. We're demanding something new, something more complex. The way our icons are dying, being reborn, and reinvented, it's a huge sign of the times.
So, all that leaves us with one last big question for you. We've seen it happen with a gangster, a monster, and a pop star. So I want to know from you, which modern icon, which story out there do you think is in desperate need of a total rewrite? Let me know what you think down in the comments.